Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. No secret that we are flooded with headlines that depict the need for a renaissance in education that focuses on high-quality teaching as learning as well. Restoring K-12 public education does require involvement from the voices of parents, even grandparents, even uncles, aunts, well, actually, all community stakeholders, all alike. Everyone deserves to know what's happening in their local schools, and they should actually have a voice that can positively impact their decision making. Joining us today is CODA. She's a former K-6 Director of Curriculum and Instruction, co-founder of Pushing Boundaries Consulting LLC, and also the author of the books Escaping the School Leader's Dunk Tank, Let Them Speak, and most recently, Educational Rehab. So she knows what she's talking about, and she's joining us today. There's no doubt, as I just said, Rebecca, that there's a big issue going on as far as what our kids are learning. But tell us why that we need to continue to strengthen our public schools. It seems like it should be obvious to know that answer.
You know, it really should. I mean, just yesterday in the news, the NSBA made the announcement that they need the National Guard in our schools and our school board meetings. So that alone is all telling that right now we have reached a precipice of division. It's not just right wing, left wing ideologies. It's to the point that it's compromising our students by pitting adults against each other. And during the pandemic, we responded to that with a book called Recovery Mode. And we offered that free just to kind of get teachers and leaders up on their feet in a response to having to pivot to schools online.
Yes.
But what happened was it really over time became systemic. It didn't get any better. These billions of dollars are pumping into schools in response, but yet our teachers are more stressed out. Our leaders are working harder and longer hours and even more distress. And it really just exposed, all the challenges that we've been facing for 10 years and longer
Exactly.
in education.
And I think this kind of put it to head because school, the online school, do I keep my kid home, yada, yada. And so it just gave more involvement or more dialogue with that. You say there's 3 ways that we can actually get involved. Number 1, gain knowledge, engage with people, and lead proactively. Let's talk about gain knowledge. Explain that to me.
Absolutely. Really in our efforts for school reform, we've done something that nobody else has done before, and that is we have included all stakeholders. And we're not at the point where we can trust our state curriculum, our state leaders, sometimes our district and our schools, even though most teachers and educators are good. And so what we are encouraging all of our families, communities, anybody involved in their local community to gain knowledge. So explore your district websites, your state websites,
Right.
and even the U.S. government site for education. Look around and find out what are the community challenges. What are those things that are wreaking havoc on your personal local community, because they're very different from region to region what those issues are.
You talk about engaging with people here. Obviously, getting that research done, we can find, but engage. We're talking about PTA meetings.
Well, certainly we can, and that is a place, but really we're talking about start with the nucleus of your street. Like, what is the sphere of your influence? Who are your neighbors? Do they have school-age kids too?
Okay.
You're in line at the grocery store, you're at community events, you're striking up conversations to learn the needs of the community and listen to the responses of those people that you live among about school and ask some of those questions and ask your local city councils and leaders, but just engage with the humans that you are in community with
right.
your local area.
All right.
Absolutely.
You talk about lead proactively. How is that any difference in the other way?
Really, it is taking a whole nother step. So we're at the point where school boards are in the news all the time. This is the level of leading proactively where you bring together a community event and you talk about those things. So you're taking a leap, or you run for a school board position or a city council position, or you're up at the Capitol and you're talking to your legislators, or you're at the state school board office and you're talking to the leaders that are making these decisions for teachers, for students, and for the community. So we need to really engage with those decision makers and those people that are making the decisions to people,
Right.
rather than as a community voice, which is what educational rehab is. It's
Yeah.
bringing everybody together.
I think it's important to mention too. It's more than just complaining. It's like, let's come up with a solution. And I think that's what you would gather from that. If you're talking to people
Absolutely.
down your street that you're already comfortable with, you're coming up with a conglomerate of ideas, and then you can pitch it. 'Cause there's one thing I can't stand is people just coming up there and complaining. We need to change. Well, what change do we need to make? And I think that once we have that dialogue going with our neighbors and the people that are going
Yes.
to educate our kids, we can get that. There's a lot that we can do here in your books. We can find out actually how we can go even further with it. But what about us and our kids together? I mean, is there something that I can give to my child that is actually going to help them understand what I'm trying to do and maybe understand education a little bit better?
Well, I think it's all about, being an American. It's about knowing what we have as our rights to do,
Okay.
knowing that there's an appropriate way to use our voice. And, even my own children at home, when something's not right at school, I don't go straight to the teacher. We practice and we rehearse. Okay, have you asked them this? Have you given
Very
them a
nice.
chance?
Yeah.
And just teaching our kids to use their voice, and then also modeling that with the adults that we engage
I
with.
appreciate that tremendously. If folks want to find out more information, Rebecca, where can we go to get a copy of your books?
You can go to Amazon right now, and you can get that in paperback and Kindle. And then all of our resources, including all the video links to YouTube and all, are on pushboundconsulting.com.
All right, RebeccaCoda.com. You can go ahead there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Our kids are our future. At least that's what we keep on telling them. So we got to make sure we pay a nice way for them. Thank you so much for joining us. This interview will be on our
Absolutely.
website at DailyFlashShow.com. We're heading into the kitchen coming up right after this.